It's midday and this is News Today. I am Kemeni Nyamani Amana. Coming up, pollster and editor of the Daily Dispatch says calls by former Ghanaian President Jerry John Rawlings for the governing National Democratic Congress to urgently embark on significant reforms is in the right direction. A new system of farming termed the Drylands Project is set to help farmers in the 3 northern regions to undertake all-year farming. Ahead in the foreign news, Nigerian president intends to inaugurate an advisory committee to develop a plan to begin a national dialogue to help resolve the country's challenges. Details of these stories and plenty more over the next 16 minutes. To stay. Now, pollster and editor of the Daily Dispatch, Ben Efson, says calls by former Ghanaian President Jerry John Rawlings for the governing of National Democratic Congress to urgently embark on significant reforms is in the right direction. It tells Joy News smaller electoral colleges tend to breed corruption, hence they need to expand the electoral college. He, however, warned opposition parties could take advantage of the party's plan to register supporters biometrically.
The founder and the NDC party are thinking from the same page. I checked, and the last NEC meeting of the NDC, they decided that they were going to go even more broader than the MPP. What they intend to do is that everybody, this will not be limited only even to presidential elections. It's going to be done for voting for a parliamentary candidate at primaries. I think what they intend to do is to have a biometric registration of all NDC supporters. So that is what they intend to do. So unlike the MPP, where you have 110, if NDC has 1 million registered voters, all the 1 million will be entitled to vote at various levels using biometric. The MPP decided to expand it to 110,000, which is a bit more limited, because it makes it difficult for money to be the deciding factor than one's quality that you would espouse. So expanding the electoral college makes it very difficult for one to pay bribes. And the NDC, if it comes through, and the NDC has 1 million registered voters by biometric method, it's going to be a hell of a problem. The only thing the challenge the NDC is going to face is they will have to, how they are going to elect or register people who are their supporters. Because when they're doing such mass form, you have a clever political opponent getting their supporters to register biometrically as members of NDC, and when the time comes, they will elect a weak candidate. These are some of the things that the NDC is not, I'm sure, trying to think about before they expand the electoral college wider than the MPP. The way forward for any political party is to expand it and try and minimize the loopholes, because a smaller electoral college lends itself to corruption. PP now, I think the last electoral college is about 115,000. This is a very huge number. I mean, far bigger than maybe the 20,000 they used to have. So I think that the way forward, obviously, to reduce money is expand the electoral college.
Away from that, motorists continue to flout road traffic regulations without recourse to the threat it poses to their lives and to the lives of other road users. Joy News' Eric Curtis Howard reports, despite several attempts by authorities to stop the practice, there seems to be no solution in sight.
The Accra-Tema motorway is a major transit point for the transportation of goods and services from Accra to Tema. the Eastern and Volta regions, and vice versa. The road, which is a 7.32-lane dual carriage highway and made with concrete surfacing, has not seen any major rehabilitation works since its construction in 1964. Several potholes have developed on the stretch. Though there have been attempts to repair them, the situation has not helped much. Drivers plying the stretch have to endure one form of bumpy ride or the other. The use of unapproved and illegal routes on the highway is another challenge confronting authorities. The question as to who are the faces behind the illegal diversions still remain unanswered, yet motorists continue to use these diversions with impunity. Attempts by the National Road Safety Commission and the Police Motor Traffic and Transport Department to block some of these unapproved routes with stone boulders has not yielded much results.
This is one of the several unapproved routes on the Accra Tema motorway. According to authorities, the use of such routes are illegal and motorists caught using them must be fined. But the big question is, what has authorities done so far to arrest the situation?
According to the Motor Traffic and Transport Department of the Ghana Police Service, these illegal diversions are contributing largely to the increasing spate of road accidents on the stretch. 49 years after its construction, it is obvious that the motorway has long ceased to be an expressway linking two cities to virtually becoming a street running through several residential settlements. And with this dramatic development comes along the attendant challenges, accidents that constantly claim lives, armed robbery, problems with security, and several more functioning street lights at night. And until authorities stand up to deal with the situation, one cannot tell what will become of the Accra Tema motorway in the next 5 years.
Daniel Waku is Greater Accra Manager of the National Road Safety Commission. We'll try and understand the situation on the motorway and how we can help curb whatever is happening over there. Good morning. Good afternoon, Daniel.
Good afternoon.
Help us understand first. Are there any approved exit and entry points on the motorway besides the main ones we know?
Besides the one that is in front of the abattoir, there is no other approved entry or exit.
I see. And you and I know also that there are other entry and exit points besides the abattoir one. What are we doing about those ones?
It's supposed to be unapproved. It's not supposed to be there. So anybody who enters or exits the motorway through those routes are infringing on the law. The routes are not supposed to be there anyway. So what we normally do is we appeal to the Ghana Highway Authority, who are the ones in charge of the motorway, to seal those unapproved entries and exits and then the U-turn. So that's what we normally do.
I see.
Yeah.
This is not something just that just occurred yesterday. It's been there over time, and I'm wondering if you've been recommending to the highway authorities and they've done nothing about it. Where are we headed then?
It's not as if they've done nothing about it. When, for example, if you could remember, somewhere in March or April, I did some exercise on the motorway there with the media to bring out the unapproved route on the motorway, and we appealed or recommended to the Ghana Highway Authority to seal those routes. And after some time, you realize that they have brought some boulders to seal some of those unapproved routes, but not all of them have been sealed. So that is why some people are still using the unapproved route.
What kind of danger do these unapproved routes pose to road users?
The danger is that the motorway is supposed to be a high-speed zone. The maximum speed limit on the motorway is 100 kilometers per hour. But even beyond that, people do beyond the 100 kilometers per hour. If someone is entering the motorway from these unapproved routes, because of the speed at which you enter, a high-speed vehicle behind you may just run into you. So that's one of the dangers. And the same way, if you want to exit the motorway, you are going to slow down. And these unapproved routes, because they are not approved or constructed by the Ghana Highway Authority, it doesn't have any safety measure attached to it. There is no buffer zone where you can use to taxi or to gather your speed before you enter, or this zone where you can slow down and go off the motorway before you branch off. So that's the danger. The way people enter and exit with low speed, a high-speed vehicle coming onto you can just run into you, and then there could be crashes and then casualties.
I see. From where you sit at the commission, is there an end in sight when it comes to dealing with these unapproved routes on the motorway?
There is an end. It is, you see, if the routes are not there, the people will not use it. So if they come, we should just seal it. That is why we always appeal to Ghana Highway Authority to seal those unapproved routes. It is their field. They have to come out with the appropriate way of sealing those routes. For example, the boulders are working, but what I have also realized is that when they pour the boulders, for example, in the unapproved U-turn, people still find another way, beside the boulders, and then are still using it. And people too are just, I don't know why, I can't understand. People are just creating the unapproved.
Yeah, I actually asked because I was hoping you'd touch on the exercise you as a commission embarked on in conjunction with the Motor Traffic and Transport Department of the Ghana Police Service. What's happened to that?
Yes, one of the outcomes is that the Ghana Highway Authority, for example, went ahead to pour some of the boulders to block some of these unapproved routes. According to them, it takes a process before even some of these things can be effected. It's not as if the resources are there; they will just go and block it. So they say they are also working on it, processing it through their system before they come on. That's why the delay is coming. That is where the delay is. It's not as if the Ghana Highway Authority is not aware. They are very much aware, but their resources, the way they process their, way of doing things, the process. It has to pass through a process. That is it.
Daniel, how about approving these routes? I mean, there are residential and commercial properties springing up around the Tema motorway, and it may not be as free as it used to. So how about approving these routes so that users of the Tema motorway now know there are entry and exit points along the way?
I think that one, I don't think that would be the best solution. If you watch, before you get to the Abattoir Junction, there is another one that is being opened. And exit and entry is being opened or constructed by the Ghana Highway Authority. You see, if it is done by the Ghana Highway Authority, the engineers, there is a way that they do it to be safer. The unapproved ones, the way they enter and exit, that is what makes it unsafe.
Yeah, and so what I want us to talk about now is the possibility of creating entry and exit points along the Tema motorway. Besides, there are lots of properties springing up around that area. It's not like it used to be. There are people who live there now, people who work there now, and would need entry and exit points along it. How about having legally approved ones?
I don't think things can work that way because there is a plan, there is a design of how the development of those areas is supposed to follow. And I don't think making or approving these entries and exits everywhere they appear will be part of the design of the town and country planning, for example. So I don't think it's possible that way.
I see. Thank you very much, Daniel, for your time. It's been fantastic talking to you. Daniel is Greater Accra manager of the National Road Safety Commission. Let's quickly move on to some other issues. And the Habitat Day, the United Nations has designated the first Monday of October every year as World Habitat Day. This year, it will be celebrated on 7th October 2013. The purpose of World Habitat Day is to reflect on the state of our towns and cities and the basic rights of all to adequate shelter. It is also intended to remind the world that we all have a responsibility to shape the future of our cities and towns. This year, the United Nations chose the theme urban mobility because mobility and access to goods and services is essential to the efficient functioning of our cities and towns as they expand. Accessible cities encourage a shift towards more sustainable modes of transportation and draw more and more travelers out of cars and onto trains, buses, bike and sidewalks. But mobility is about more than just the mode of transport we use. Hence, urban planning and design should focus on how to bring people and places together by creating cities that focus on accessibility and optimal urban densities rather than simply increasing the length of urban transport infrastructure. Earlier today, we spoke with Samson Ahi, Deputy Minister of Works and Housing, on News Desk. We spoke about the housing deficit and how we can deal with it in the country. Let's take a listen.
We have a lot of challenges with regards to providing shelter for our people. As we speak, we have a housing deficit close to 1.8 million. And this is a huge challenge to the government. And for that matter, the President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, together with my Minister, Raji Kongsada, are putting some mechanisms in place to ensure that the huge deficit is addressed. There are several programs going on, and the government also believes that we cannot solve the huge deficit alone, and that we want to partner the private sector to come on board so that we address our shortfall. As we are speaking now, there was affordable housing which was initiated during President Kufuor's era, and we have some in Pond, Botema, Mase, Koforidua, Samari, and Wa. At that time, they spent 80 million SCD to bring it to the various stages of completion. Work has been done on the remaining work, and we will require 241 million Ghana cedis to be able to complete all the affordable housing which was initiated by President Kufuor. Now, as we speak, we have handed over the affordable housing at Pong to TDC, that is Tema Development Corporation. If you go there now, you will see that they are on site working around the clock to complete. And then 5 blocks have been given to state housing companies to also work. In fact, they have completed the work. And then 5 blocks have also been given to the Defense Ministry to be given to the military.
Mahama returned home last night after attending the United Nations General Assembly. He was met on arrival by some government officials.
We discussed the issue of developing the Sogakokwe water project, which will supply us water but also supply water to Togo. We also discussed matters relating to the development of the road infrastructure linking Ghana to Togo. You recall that at the last ECOWAS meeting, there was a discussion around constructing a major highway between Lagos and Abidjan. So that was also discussed. And we also discussed some matters relating to bilateral trade between the two countries, how to ease movement across the borders of our two countries. There were other issues in the area of illegal logging of timber on the other side of the border and how we can collaborate to enforce sustainable harvesting of the timber resources of both countries, and generally measures that we can all put in place to deepen the economic cooperation between our two countries. And then we moved to Benin, where we continued discussions along a number of issues, The focus was on energy and how Ghana and Benin can deepen the cooperation that has existed for some time now, under which Ghana provides Benin with some amount of energy from both our hydro and thermal production points here in Ghana. And also how we can assist in terms of gas supply to Benin for them to power their thermal plants. There was discussion on infrastructure development, the road network, because all the countries along that corridor are interested in the development of this major highway so that we can ease the movement of goods.
So a new system of farming termed the Drylands Project is set to help farmers in the 3 northern regions to undertake farming all year round. The project, being supported by the United Nations Development Programme, is to alleviate poverty and to ensure farmers have continuous flow of income to help bridge the rural-urban migration.
With the main economic activity of the people in the 3 northern regions being farming, continuous flooding and erosion of land has not been supportive of farming in these areas. For instance, Boko West in the Upper East region was faced with serious flooding in 2007, destroying the livelihood of the people in some of its communities. Farmers in the area have since then not been able to make maximum use of the land due to perennial flooding and continuous erosion on the land. The introduction of dryland farming project in the area now incorporates planting of grafted mangoes and other food plants to protect the land from erosion. This also to help improve farming in the community and also address the problem of food security and alleviate poverty in the region.
The impact on the environment is that, like I said, it is preventing runoff, erosion. As you see, this is a legume. I said this is a legume. The biomass would remain on the soil. Then it will rot, improve soil fertility, aeration and percolation will become very good things. Then you see that it will become a very good soil. Farmer will be in very good business. Next 5 years, he will start reaping the benefits of the plantation. There is perfect market for this mango.
Abambila is a beneficiary, and in 5 years' time, he would be reaping the benefits.
Some tree here, they call them moringa. The leaves they used to come and buy. The Zambaran people, they used to come and buy and then send it to town and make some soup so the people will buy. And then is that true that I use for my school, children's school fees and other things? The trees leaves to help the soil to grow corn and other things because I don't use fertilizer. Only the tree leaves. When they rot, when they drop that and then they rot, it is manure too. So getting to dry season, when you come here, you see all my animals, everything, they are around here because of they say they don't go any place.
In trying to sustain and improve the livelihood of the people of this community, other farmers who were not initially part of this project have also benefited from this model of farming. The project, which started with 5 communities, now has been expanded to include 6 others. Issa Abangari's guinea fowl production is now his source of livelihood. Apart from selling the guinea fowl, he also uses their droppings to improve the nutrient content of the soil on his farm.
See, Sambiba, Busianuma, Timayis Ganibi, and a cobwam, Amayakum, a salmon. For so you won't be toilet no sono, made the toilet no, and I put 4 weeks a moon, toilet and a few women do Gunusuina. As I boam a power or toilet in the sofa.
Although farmers are yet to reap the benefits of this model of farming, availability of water for their crops, and the protection of their farms in the dry season to prevent animals from destroying their crops is yet another problem to be solved for the farmers.
This is News Today. I'll be back shortly. Now, authorities of the Volta River Authority has assured that the T3 plant at Abuaze, which was shut down as a result of an explosion which occurred in June this year, is expected to start full operation soon. In addition, the report ascertaining the cause of the explosion is expected to be available by an independent assessor by the end of this month.
A media tour of the Abuaze thermal plant was organized by the Volta River Authority to improve reportage on power-related issues and operational activities. Journalists were informed of the planned Dumonli thermal power project in the western region, which will produce about 450 megawatts of power in 2016 to 2017, and the planned expansion of existing facilities to drastically improve energy supply by 2022. Once again, it was emphasized that the completion of the Ituabu gas project will be crucial to cutting the prohibitive cost of power generation based on crude oil. However, the crux of the issue was an explosion earlier this year, which brought the T3 to a standstill. The 4 turbines of the T3, which produces about 132 megawatts of energy, have been shut down since June. But authorities say the contractor has already submitted a proposal to refit turbine units 2 and 3, even as 1 and 4 remain shut down. A report on investigations into the cause of the explosion is expected to be released by the end of this month, and operations will resume soon after.
As an organization, our responsibility and part of our corporate responsibility is to ensure that we engage with our partners. And the media, for us, is a key stakeholder, for which reason we need to engage with them at every step of the way. The challenges, as I said, are within our remit, and we are taking care of them. For those that are outside our remit, we will engage stakeholders and ensure that we are on course as an organization to provide the power that the country needs for development.
The maintenance manager of VRA, Stephen Owusu, outlined projections of the company.
T3 has an installed capacity of 132, and you are looking at expanding that or doing another project side by side to T3 to add 170 megawatts to it. That will be one gas turbine and then a steam turbine. For a brief maintenance work, TICO is also operating all their installed units. So you are talking about 200 megawatts from T1 and 200 megawatts from TICO. So currently that is what you are generating from the complex.
Members of the media were later taken on a tour to inspect the T1, 2 and 3 sites, the main control room, as well as other projects in the facility. William Benjamin Peters reports for Joy News.
Aircraft manufacturing giant Airbus has announced its first deal with Japanese carrier Japan Airlines. It has won an order from JAL for 31 of its A350 planes in a deal worth nearly $9.5 billion at list prices. The A350 is designed to be more fuel efficient and is a direct competitor to U.S. rival Boeing's 787 Dreamliner, which has been hit by safety and technical issues in recent months. The deal is a blow for Boeing, which has dominated Japan's aviation market. According to the deal, JAL has also an option to purchase an additional 225 planes. Now, Director General of the Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority, Fola Akinkotu, has announced the suspension of the operations of Dana Air General Manager, Public Affairs, NCAA Fan Indubuoke said it was because its flight from Port Harcourt to Lagos made on-air return due to technical problems. The aircraft was said to have lost one of its engines, and this was the second time in a week that such an incident would happen. The aircraft, according to a source, had flown 38 miles away from Port Harcourt when one of the engines shut down when it caught the control tower. The airline last year recorded a tragic crash in Lagos, killing 153 persons. Joy News returns after this. In our first sports, let's check out the Ghana Premier League results. Inter Allies lost to Asante Kotoko 1-0 and Hazakas drew 1-1 with the Dubiase FC. Brekum Chelsea 1-1 with the Diana Stars. Heart of Lions 1-0 to Dwarfs. Liberty Professionals lost 1-2 to Mediama SC. And Ashanti Gold FC 2-1 against Amigdala's Professionals. Kim Faisal 3-2 against Wild Stars. Betem United lost a goal to 0 to Hearts of Oak. And now here are the EPL highlights over the weekend.
Afghans were chomping at the bit to claim another big scalp after last weekend's shock victory at Manchester United. The Gunners created a handful of chances but lacked the clinical edge in the final third. Against the run of play, Claudio Jakob headed the Baggies into the lead just before the break. Nicholas Anelka spurned a glorious opportunity to double the host lead. The former Gunners striker fluffed his lines in front of goal. The visitors pressed for the equaliser. Olivier Giroud set up Jack Wilshere. The England man failed to hit the target. Anelka again could have put further daylight between the two teams. He was made to rue the squandered chance as Jack Wilshere met Thomas Rosiski's layoff.
Wonderful equaliser. How very Arsenal.
Bo Ismail prevented Giroud from claiming a late winner, but the draw was enough to take Arsene Wenger's side above Liverpool on goals scored.
Second on the standings and were the first to threaten. Andros Townsend jinxed past a couple of defenders before giving the ball to Gylfi Sigurdsson. Jerzy Jääskeläinen, though, making an easy save. Halfway through the first period, Musa Dembele finds Townsend. The 22-year-old tried his luck from distance. The best chance of the half fell to Spurs. Paulinho's volley from a Townsend ball flashed wide. Both teams would seek improvement after the break. The second half seemed to be a completely different match. 20 seconds after the interval, Paulinho sets up Jermaine Defoe. Finn Jääskeläinen again came to the rescue of the Hammers. Spurs would come close again after some great interplay to set up the chance between Christian Eriksen, Sigurdsson and Paulinho, Defoe forcing a fine save. Sam Allardyce must have fired up his men in the change room as they took the lead completely against the run of play.
It's Reed, and at the second attempt, Winston Reid puts West Ham in front. Their first away goal of the season.
Ricardo Vaste would also be the beneficiary of a second bite of the cherry as he gave the Hammers their second. 11 minutes before the whistle, Ravel Morrison made it 3-0 to secure the win for the away side.
Distant start to their league campaign thus far. Player omissions by the special one have stolen the headlines in recent times, but forgotten man Demba Ba set up the opener with the game still in its infancy.
Lampard for Ba, 1-0 Chelsea. Oscar without error.
He took that unerringly, absolutely clean and concise. Ruddy with no chance, right into the corner of the net.
Justifying his selection, Ba continued to trouble the host defence as John Ruddy kept the Senegalese striker out on several occasions. Against the run of play, Petr Cech maintained the visitors' advantage with 22 minutes gone. Chelsea's second, though, was slow in arriving, and again the Ba-Ruddy tussle continued, with the England international prevailing. The tempo increased after the break, and goal scorer Oscar was guilty of fluffing a chance of his own making in the 63rd minute. However, the Brazilian would rue that miss as Norwich equalised 5 minutes later.
Van Wolfswinkel, Lewis on goal! Pilkington round behind him! Norwich a level!
Despite a raft of substitutions, Chelsea were kept on the back foot as Chris Hughton's men grew in confidence. That said, two of Mourinho's changes would save the manager his blushes, as first Eden Hazard struck, then Willian broke Norwich hearts.
Neto crashed into the crowd. Willian! Oh, welcome to the Barclays Premier League!
3-1 the final score as Chelsea registered their first away win of the season.
Ghana midfielder Suliali Muntari scored twice for AC Milan in their 3-2 away loss at Juventus in the Italian Serie A. Kwejo Asamoah also played full 90 minutes for Juventus. Both players are part of coach Kwesi Appiah's 25-man squad, so that will do battle against Egypt next Tuesday. Let's see how the duo fared in the Italian Serie A. Highlights coming up.
For Milan to rub salt into the wound.
Well, it's instant goal here. No flag is up and it's Muntari at the far post.
What a start.
Napping.
In a frantic start at the Juventus Stadium, Cagliarella should have levelled for the home side but failed to hit target. 3 minutes later, Christian Abbiati was forced into action. Antonio Conte's team would draw level a third of the way through the half.
He's sung it over the wall. And it's 1-1 here. Pirlo with a little piece of magic.
Riding high after their equaliser, Juve might have gone ahead soon after. Leonardo Bonucci's header was pushed over the bar. Milan had been dominated for the majority of the game but seemed to find their rhythm. Christian Zapata's effort was saved by the hand of Gianluigi Buffon. 1-1 at the break, fans were certainly getting their money's worth. In the second period, Sebastian Giovinco ghosted into the area with 21 minutes remaining to send Juve into the lead. Philippe Mexes would be sent off for a second yellow card after his foul on Giovinco. Andrea Pirlo stepped up, but wouldn't be the player to put the ball in the back of the net.
And Chiellini's turned it in. It's 3-1.
With the match winding down, Paul Pogba got caught in possession, Sulley Muntari scoring his second to set up a tense 4-minute period of injury time. Milan would fail to find their equaliser with Massimiliano.
Let's now turn attention to news from elsewhere. And Nigeria's President Goodluck Jonathan intends to inaugurate an advisory committee on Monday to develop a plan to begin a national dialogue to help resolve the country's challenges. The 13-member committee is expected to comprise of a chairman, a secretary, and 11 other members who are drawn from different segments of the Nigerian society, including the civil society, the academia, and professional groups. The committee is expected to submit its report in 4 weeks after its inauguration. Observers have questioned the creation of the advisory committee, saying previous administrations failed in 1994 and 2005 with similar efforts. Some opposition groups have rejected the formation of the committee, saying it's yet another effort of the Jonathan administration to distract Nigerians from the government's failures. Joining us over Skype is Chukwumeka Eze. He is with ONEP. We'll discuss briefly exactly what he makes of this move by President Goodluck Jonathan. Hello, Chukwumeka.
Yes, good afternoon.
Right. And so my first question is really, what are your thoughts on this launch of the National Dialogue Committee?
As a peace-building organization, we support any idea that will bring people together to talk about their problems. I think the greatest question to ask relates to the issues of motive. What is the motive of the dialogue? The other issue to raise is probably issues regarding to timing of the dialogue process, the issue of placing it in terms of priority of the country at the moment, and perhaps to look at the cost implication as it relates to the entire issue confronting the country at the moment. But by and large, we support any move to bring people together to talk about their problems.
Right. The issue of the fact that this could be an attempt to, draw Nigerians' attention from the government's failures. I don't know what you think of it.
I think it's very difficult for us to determine what the motive of the government is. But those concerns, in my opinion, are very genuine. And those are the kind of things that the committee should begin to look into and to ensure that some of the skepticism that is being raised by the public does not confront the dialogue process. And also bearing in mind that similar ones have held in the past, where millions of dollars were expended, and yet people did not feel satisfied with the outcomes.
When it comes to Boko Haram, the expectation is that, some sort of consensus is reached. I want to find out, wouldn't that, put a stamp on the many fears of people that a dialogue with Boko Haram would also mean that you are endorsing attitudes as this.
This is always the challenge of peace building and issues of dialogue. Do you dialogue with the rebel groups? Do you dialogue with the legitimate group? And so on and so forth. But I think that the dialogue will focus more on security challenges of the country rather than Boko Haram. Boko Haram is just one element of the insecurity the country is experiencing at the moment. There are issues relating to human security, which includes even the security of the stomach. So I think it is going to focus more on security challenges confronting the country than just Boko Haram. However, whether it is Boko Haram or other elements of insecurity confronting the country, it does not remove the fact that these are all genuine concerns. And I think that any attempt to bring all this to the table will surely see the country progress. But again, I caution on motive, I caution on timing, I caution on priority, and I caution on cost.
Could you elaborate on your last submission? You caution on timing and all the cautions you've given. Why should we take caution in those aspects?
Because a lot of people are looking at the timing of the dialogue process. Why now is the question. So is it a political intrigue as it relates to 2015 election? In terms of motive, is it diversionary or is it sincere? In terms of priority, where do we place that vis-a-vis the security challenges confronting the country? In terms of cost, we are talking about all issues of oil theft, we are talking about insurgencies in the northeast, we are talking about militant regrouping again in the south-south, and also the country losing millions of dollars to oil theft. Where do we place this in terms of priority? If this is an attempt to address some of these issues, then it is worth it. But if it is an attempt to divert attention, to make the government feel like they have the interests of the masses at heart, the result of that, the end point, will be counterproductive.
Thank you very much, Chukwuemeka. Chukwuemeka is with WANEP, and he joined us on the issues of Nigeria's Dialogue Committee to be inaugurated Monday by President Goodluck Jonathan. He joined us over Skype. Let's move on to some other issues. And in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, the National Army and United Nations peacekeepers are working to combat dozens of armed groups that have terrorized local populations. In North Kivu province alone, 1 million people, 1/6 of the entire population, has been displaced by violence, while combat rages. Civilians are also fighting a daily battle of their own, the battle to survive. The World Food Programme and other partner agencies help the displaced with food, clean water, sanitation, and other basic needs, but their existence is nonetheless grim. In the Eastern Congo, the United Nations has a force of 20,000 police and troops known as the MONUSCO. They protect civilians and support the Congolese army as it builds its capacity and works to take on about 39 different rebel groups which have been attracted to the region by its wealth of natural resources and lack of government control. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry has defended the capture of an alleged al-Qaeda leader Anas al-Libi on Saturday as a legal and appropriate target. He is a suspected mastermind of the 1998 U.S. Embassy attacks in Africa. His son, Abdallah al-Ragi, said his father had been seized by masked gunmen and that some of them were Libyans. Kerry's comments come after Libya called on the U.S. to explain the Special Forces raid on its territory, one of two by U.S. commandos in Africa Saturday.
Abu Anas is currently detained by the United States military in what is described only as a secure location outside Libya. Libya's Prime Minister has called on Washington to explain a Special Forces raid on its territory, one of two by U.S. commandos in Africa on Saturday. Ali Zaiden's office said he had asked for clarification and stressed Libya was keen on prosecuting any Libyan citizen inside Libya. The attacks some 15 years ago killed more than 200 people and injured thousands. In a separate development, U.S. officials on Saturday said Navy SEALs were involved in an operation in southern Somalia that targeted a leader of Al-Shabaab, the group responsible for the recent attack on Nairobi's Westgate shopping center. The Pentagon did not release the name of the individual they were seeking, but a U.S. official described that person as a high-value Al-Shabaab terrorist leader. U.S. commandos withdrew after coming under heavy gunfire. A U.S. official said no American personnel were killed or injured.
We hope that this makes clear that the United States of America will never stop in its effort to hold those accountable who conduct acts of terror, and those members of Al-Qaeda and other terrorist organizations literally can run, but they can't hide.
Egyptian security forces have been targeted in a wave of attacks across the country. Gunmen killed 5 Egyptian soldiers who were sitting in a car at a checkpoint north of the Suez Canal city of Ismailia. A large car bomb struck officers of the security forces in southern Sinai, while a rocket attack hit a satellite station in a Cairo suburb. Security forces have been repeatedly targeted in Sinai in recent weeks. 2 people are reported to have died in the car bomb attack in the town of Al-Tu, and another 48 injured. That'll be all from news from elsewhere, but let's look at showbiz now. And there was a different feel to the atmosphere at the Accra Sports Stadium last night as it hosted hundreds of worshippers for the maiden edition of the Ghana Praise Festival. Surprisingly, the show, which had only 3 acts performing, traveled way beyond midnight.
Hundreds of worshippers from all walks of life gathered at the Accra Sports Stadium for a night of worship and praise. 2 choirs, Ghana's Joyful Way Incorporated and South Africa's Joyous Celebration. Plus, DSP Kofi Sapong kept the audience on their feet all night long. Opening the night was Joyful Way Incorporated, who treated the audience to a mix of their hit songs. DSP Kofi Sapong, who has been described as the singing cop, showed that he was not only good at singing, but that he can dance too. But the night was nearly marred by some light showers, which preceded the performance by Joyous Celebration. But when they hit the stage and the showers subsided, their praise was unlimited.
That's it for showbiz. A look again at our headlines. Pollster and editor of the Daily Dispatch says calls by former Ghanaian President Jerry John Rawlings for the governing National Democratic Congress to urgently embark on significant reforms is in the right direction. A new system of farming termed the Drylands Project is set to help farmers in the 3 northern regions to undertake farming all year round. Nigerian President Goodluck Jonathan intends to inaugurate an advisory committee to develop a plan to begin a national dialogue to help resolve the country's challenges. Thanks for your company. There's more news on myjoyonline.com. My name is Kimini Nyamani Amana. Goodbye.